During a year that has been tough for so many Michigan businesses, today we share good news, highlighting one business just honored with the President's E Award for Exporting and another business with the President's E Award for Export Service. Thanks for joining us. I'm Julie Holton. If this were any other year, Redi-Rock and Foster Swift Law Firm would be honored in a special ceremony in Washington, D.C. for making significant contributions to an increase in U.S. exports. Because of COVID-19, those celebrations were scaled back. But also because of COVID-19, what better time than now to hear from these two Michigan companies and have them share how other businesses can access low-cost or no-cost resources for export growth. Joining me are Andrew Nicodemus of Redi-Rock and Jean Stokel of Foster Swift. Thank you both so much for taking the time to talk with us today. You are among 39 companies in the entire country being honored with this award. Congratulations. Andrew, I want to start with you. When Redi-Rock first started, at the time, it was like any other small business in Northern Michigan whose owners came up with an innovative idea. Can you tell us how Redi-Rock started the journey to exporting? And what has exporting meant to the company?
Julie, thanks for having us. And it's a great honor for Redi-Rock. Redi-Rock actually started out in 1999. There was two brothers working in the family construction business, put their heads together, and they came up with this idea for a retaining wall business, and Redi-Rock was born. They went out, they started to sell more and more in a domestic U.S. market, and they had a really small international footprint, and they saw huge potential for international market. They were looking at the needs of the world instead of just what was in front of them here in the U.S. and in Michigan, and they just grew and grew and grew. 5 years ago, Redi-Rock was 13 people and 4 international customers. And today, we have 58 full-time Northern Michigan employees and 23 international manufacturers. A lot of people have said that American manufacturing was over. And Redi-Rock took that can-do attitude and just said, you know what, we're going to increase our manufacturing jobs here in Northern Michigan and increase our revenue. A lot of the success has been achieved through the Redi-Rock exporting business, but at its core, Redi-Rock is still that small company, that small business, building the relationships one company at a time.
And now Redi-Rock is being honored with the highest honor a U.S. company can receive for exporting. Andrew, what can you tell us, or what can you tell other companies that are maybe thinking about exporting?
Just don't be intimidated. The world is full of people just like us, people that just want a good, reliable product, a product that'll do what you say it'll do. American products and people, have a special place globally. Other companies want to do business with us. I mean, we take a look at the currency barriers, language barriers, cultural barriers. But if you look at them as barriers, they will be. But what we do at Redi-Rock, we look at them as opportunities.
I just want to say kudos to Redi-Rock because they are such a truly innovative company when it comes to not only their product, but, as Andrew mentioned, they see obstacles as opportunities, and that's really true. Just stepping back for companies to get a little vignette of how exporting works, Redi-Rock is a company that produces retaining walls. So when you're looking at them as a company and you're saying, wow, export opportunity, what's the first thing that comes to mind regarding a retaining wall? It's heavy and huge and expensive and is normally built right at the work site in the construction site. So shipping something like that is just one of those things where you go, well, okay, that's the be all end all. We're not going to be an export company because we have to do that. We're going to have to set up manufacturing plants around the globe. We'll be like Amazon and have 2 corporate headquarters, one here and one in the EU or whatever. And they didn't do that. Not only is that product really innovative, but they looked at that and said, no, there's got to be another solution. And the solution for them was very creative. Instead of shipping huge pieces of retaining wall where they couldn't be price competitive in foreign markets, or setting up all of these complex structures, corporate organizations and manufacturing facilities all over the globe, they ship their forms to their partners in foreign countries. It's a win-win for all of their partners, their local distributors, who can then produce, one-offs of those forms to be able to sell them in these foreign countries. And then those companies are their boots on the ground. Sort of, they have this big network, and they've done excellent background research on their partners. They have partners that have been with them for a long period of time. They've protected their intellectual property, and they're doing good around the world by creating these other business opportunities while growing their company here. And it was the perfect and right solution for their company. It kept all of that innovation here in the United States. It created jobs here, created expansion. It's just such a great success story. And it points to this idea that, whatever you see that might be a problem, it's not going to deter you from exporting. You can still do it. We export a lot of services. Service companies don't think about that, especially during COVID. What can you do better when one economy is down or things are shut down? You've got other markets that you can focus on, other places to sell.
So when Andrew says turning barriers into opportunities, it's not just a line. He's really doing this.
They live it, and they're the perfect example. And, precisely why they're one of so few companies that won the President's, E Award for exporting.
I'd also like to say that Redi-Rock hasn't gotten to this position by ourselves. It's been many programs supported by the U.S. Commercial Services, Michigan Economic Development Corporation. I would tell that company to take advantage of all these programs and opportunities that are out there.
And Andrew, I love how you described these barriers as opportunities, because Jean, that's where you really come in. And I want to quote a letter that you received. Secretary of Commerce Wilbur Ross said in this letter, the E-Awards Committee was very impressed with the company's case studies demonstrating measurable export growth achieved by its clients. Foster Swift, Collins, and Smith's achievements have undoubtedly contributed to national export expansion efforts that support the U.S. economy and create American jobs. What an honor, Jean. That's a very big statement there. You've helped a lot of organizations that are new to exporting. What is one of the first things that you share as they're getting started?
That's a really great question. So for companies that are interested in exporting, a lawyer's job is really to try to reduce risk. So there's lots of risk in doing any kind of business, especially these days. We're dealing with COVID now. The international markets are, diverse. And there are lots of new things to learn about. What we try to make sure we do with our clients is basically hold their hands from international contact to contract. Our job as lawyers is to reduce risk. We're there to identify legal issues that clients will face when they export, so that they're well prepared. In the best instances, when we have new clients coming to us that haven't exported before, we want to have them have no surprises, to be aware of all the things that they're going to face, consider all the factors that have to go into pricing for international products or services, the additional costs that might, that they might have to incur that they don't realize if they only do business domestically, and get them set up so that they're confident. They can take all of the different factors into account in preparation, so that they come back again and say, hey, those sales were great. We had a great profit coming out of Canada. Now we want to try Germany. Now we want to try India. Let's do this again. Let's make business. So that's really the goal. And we do that in a lot of different ways by advising clients about international regulations that they might face. Your contracts might say Michigan law applies or US law applies, but the truth of it is, when you're doing business in a foreign country, foreign laws will apply. And it's important to take that into account and to understand it. We really try to focus on contracts so that each party knows what's expected of the other. That's another way to reduce risk and not have surprises. It's great to be able to do business with a handshake, but with a contract, you always have something to look back on and to discuss. And it's a great way to weed out inappropriate partners for international trade, whether that be joint venture partners or foreign distributors or agents or what have you. So we try to focus our clients on due diligence on the front end. And as Andrew was mentioning, there are great programs and services through U.S. Commercial Service, through the state of Michigan, Michigan Economic Development Corporation, that can help companies with some of that.
And Jean, you hold a number of very notable positions. You're chair of the West Michigan District Export Council, the executive in residence at the International Business Center at MSU's Broad College of Business, among others. As an expert in exporting, can you tell us more about the resources that are available to help businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to echo some of those things that Andrew mentioned just a couple moments ago. You mentioned the district export councils. Those are terrific resources. So there are over 60 district export councils across the United States. We're fortunate enough to have 2 of those in the state of Michigan. One is on the west side of the state, the West Michigan District Export Council. That's the one that I chair. On the east side of the state, it's the East Michigan District Export Council. Faye Baydoun of the American Arab Chamber of Commerce is the chair of the East Michigan District Export Council. And what those are business leaders from that area of the state that are well-versed in exporting, all different kinds of people with different talents. So there can be companies like Redi-Rock. So Kevin Lowe of Redi-Rock is one of the members of our West Michigan District Export Council, to lawyers like me, accountants, international bankers, logistics companies, other manufacturers in different industries, all focused on helping Michigan companies export. So we're a resource of volunteers, thanks to the companies that, like mine and like Redi-Rock, who allow their employees with expertise to volunteer time to help other companies. So say a company is new to trying to find a distributor in Japan, wants to talk to somebody else who's been there, done that. Those are the folks on the District Export Council, and they can be contacted through the U.S. Department of Commerce offices on either side of the state. So that's resource number 2. It's the U.S. Department of Commerce International Trade Administration Commercial Service Office. So there's a commercial service office in the state of Michigan in Grand Rapids, headed up by Kendra Coe, who is absolutely fabulous. So you can find tons of services available on the trade.gov website when you go to U.S. Commercial Service. On the east side of the state, there are 2 offices, one in Detroit and one in Pontiac. Eve Lehrman is one of the export counselors there. She's great. She's also a lawyer, so a colleague of mine. But they can do things like help you find distributors in foreign countries or agents to sell your product. They can do background checks on companies that are foreign companies that you want to do business with. They operate foreign commercial service offices in all of the U.S. embassies around the world. So there's a commercial service officer in those embassies. So when you have problems on the ground in those foreign countries, the U.S. Commercial Service is the place to go to get assistance from boots on the ground, people there who can help you with whatever your problem is. If you've got products stuck at customs, if you are trying to find a new distributor in a country, they can help you with all of those things. Some additional resources that are really important and key to companies are the resources right here in this great state of Michigan. So Governor Gretchen Whitmer's state of Michigan, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, that is a fabulous resource. So in addition to federal funding through a STEP grant program and state of Michigan funding too, there are tons of resources available through the MEDC to help companies export. And again, just like the U.S. Commercial Service, very well-trained international trade managers I know because we help train them, who can help you with everything you need to do with exporting. So the programs through the state of Michigan are vast and different. So through one of those programs, we actually provide customized training to Michigan companies regarding export related issues. It could be export controls training, training on the U.S. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, training on contracting with foreign agents and distributors, how to protect your intellectual property. All of those things are offered through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. They also have a reimbursement program where you can be reimbursed for up to $15,000 worth of export related expenses. So the expenses have to be pre-approved. They're pretty much related to export marketing. New this year, they have the ability to get reimbursement for e-commerce related expenses that you might incur as you try to expand your exports around the globe. And they reimburse 75% of the cost. So that's great. And the state of Michigan also has some foreign offices, which is really terrific. And finally, Michigan State University, the Broad College of Business has an international business center. So all of us in the export community, you can see already with us in Redi-Rock and the commercial service and all these other organizations, we're all tied together. So Michigan State University's International Business Center is also one of the partners with the state of Michigan, like we are, to provide services to exporters. And they do free market research, foreign market research for companies that want to expand to a new market. You know, Mexico's your next market. You want some market research on your product, who's selling it there, what the market's like, what are some market conditions. We've sent clients to them even for things like, you know, what are some of the regulatory requirements in order to sell a certain kind of, you know, something or other that has to go on public roads, you know, in a foreign country. So wealth of experience, wealth of information, lots of services, little known, as Andrew says, that, you know, manufacturers and service providers that want to export should know more about.
To Jean's point, I've actually personally used pretty much everything she just talked about. And it's just a wonderful programs, great way to access it, great information, and it's really, really helped me personally to actually increase our exporting.
Andrew, Redi-Rock and your parent company, Astor Brands, are well known for your commitment to innovation. What's next for you on the exporting front?
You know, Astor Brands is a company that's always looking forward, looking to the future. We have some new products. We have some new services that we're working on. We have a testing lab that's pretty impressive. We have an R&D department that's looking at new products. Right now we have a brand new XL block. It's a 96-inch block. It's, you know, state of the art for the large block retaining wall business. I know that probably is impressive to most people because the large block retaining wall business is on the forefront of everybody's minds at dinner, I guess. The other thing we have is a 41-inch hollow core block that's actually going to save weight on the block so you can put more on a truck and decrease the aggregate that's put in it. So we also have a couple other brands. We're looking, we have a pole base brand that does precast pole bases. And then we're just always looking for the next new thing and see if we can get our feet moving forward. Because at Redi-Rock, we have a catchphrase that I'm going to use. It's called, we're looking to help change the world in concrete ways.
Oh, I like that.
Nice. It is.
It's got a good ring to it, and clearly work that you are doing. This is just such a great to be able to talk with both of you today. And congratulations again to both of you and your businesses for this incredible honor. To learn more about Redi-Rock, you can visit the website redi-rock.com. And for more of the resources information that Jean shared, they have a full list of resources at fosterswift.com. Thanks so much for joining us today.